The lights are off and away they go.
Extremely loose. He's managed to hold on.
He missed the pit completely. He's crazy stuff.
Side Freitas is on the grass on the infield floor. He slides through. He tags Richard Eck.
Cheese, the Green Bay Packers, Polka, and how about one of the fastest, most widely respected road courses in the country? Wisconsin has a lot to offer, not the least of which is Road America. Having hosted the likes of Dan Gurney, Mario Andretti, and Bobby Rahal, just to name a few, drivers who make a name here are likely to go down as legends. Can anyone add their name to the list in the virtual world today? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch the Racing for Rick World Cup Challenge, and you'll see it all live here on the Global Sim Racing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Sean Ambrose. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Elkhart Lake doesn't necessarily look thrilling from an overhead shot of the layout, but boy does it deliver when you see it from the cockpit. As we see on the track map, you have 4 miles to deal with around here and 14 turns. It is a long one. And despite the high speeds that you have around here, it takes over 2 minutes to make a lap around this course. It's got some famous corners, places like the Carousel, the Kink Canada Corner, and lots of great opportunities for passing. That makes for some thrilling races around here, never short of action, as drivers have opportunity to have a go at one another, and it tends to keep the racing close. But to give us an idea of what it's like around here, let's go to the lap guide. All right, we're in the GSRC Lotus 49, so let's do a lap around Road America. Turn 1 is going to be an excellent place to overtake, but be careful of how easy it is to get greedy. It always feels like you can send it in here a little bit deeper until you try to get the car to turn in. Coming off, you might find yourself struggling with wheel spin, so be gentle with the throttle. It's a pretty short burst down to turn 3, and this is really a corner where the best advice is to back up your entry and try to launch off the exit. You'll see it takes us onto the Marine Sweep, and if you hesitate to get on the gas, there's gobs of lap time to be lost. The gentle bends are also going to make it tough to tell what line someone is going to take, and you could be forced into a hairy situation. The downhill braking means you'll be getting on the binders extremely early, and everyone knows that long braking zones make for enticing passing zones. Turn 5 is no exception to that. Then it's a little climb up the hill under the Corvette Bridge where you'll discover the tricky braking for 6. The car gets light on the crest and destabilizes on turn-in. Then you've got very little time before 7, and if you're not paying attention, you can miss your brake marker. That leads into the hurry downs. While some might downplay this as a less than ideal place to pass, most drivers aren't expecting to be overtaking into this left-hand bend. A good run can offer a great opportunity for a sneak attack. After that, the track immediately dumps you into the Carousel. This long sweeper really requires patience. Balance the car on the throttle through most of it, but try your best to straighten out the exit to allow yourself more of a run. That, of course, leads to the Kink. With this being a car without any real downforce elements, expect to fully get on the brakes and have to whoa the car up just to make it through here. Once again, early on the power if you can, and now comes the tiptoe through the kettle bottoms. It's supposed to be a straight, but in this car, you've got to arc it like one long turn so that you can line up your braking for Canada Corner. Because of that weird entry, attacking and defending here is going to prove sketchy. Then from there, you'll only get a real brief squirt of the gas before you brake for 13A. It's almost too short to be able to switch sides, but the real difficulty coming into the final corner is keeping the rear of the car steady while you brake. And this is another bend where it's critical to get the exit right. Coming onto the main straight, the ability to get the car wound up and find grip will really separate good drivers from great drivers. Hopefully you kept it all together and have now finished a lap around Road America. Quite a decent amount of elevation change around here as well, just to throw itself into the mix. Well, as the Racing for Rick World Cup Challenge implies, there is a championship that these drivers are keeping track of. So let's take a look at the points. With Benjamin Zocco leading, Mick Claridge has now narrowed it down to 1 point. His great performance at Watkins Glen last week, despite some bugs trying to set him back, have still brought him very tight here in the battle. Third, Michel Dudugnan, unfortunately, wasn't able to show last week, and that slots him down in second. However, still only 2 points behind our leader. Very, very tight up at the front between those top 3, and even not that far back to Jack Olstead. What a great season he's been having, sitting in 4th. And then in 5th, of course, we have 2 drivers tied there. with the top 6 all being within 6 points. Incredible stuff. The Constructors' Championship, they're running it just like they did in 1967, where it isn't quite for teams. Instead, it's for your country that you're fighting for. United States having a great run this year at 27 points. In fact, France 5 points back, although they've moved up into second. Australia, they're tied with them 5 points back, of course. And then the Netherlands coming up a spot to 4th. And the United Kingdom going down to 5th. Here, 12 points back, well behind. Unfortunately, Mick, having missed a few races, having a harder time getting them up there. Now, Sean, first of all, welcome back. I understand you had a few problems there, but glad to have your mic sorted out now. But the Racing for Rick World Cup Challenge, named Racing for Rick. Now, who's Rick, and why is it called Racing for Rick?
You know what? Boy, did I make it back at a great time. This is named for Rick Emerson, a chap, good friend of several people here in the series. And, he's been battling his own case of ALS for about 4 years now. And the promoters of the series are trying to raise money, not to just help Rick out personally, but the many thousands of patients that are afflicted by the ALS disease. And, they're trying to raise money for the ALS Association. And that information we have provided a fundraiser link there on our YouTube channel, right down there in the details. If you'd like to just scurry up pennies or many dollars or millions even, ALS can certainly benefit from that. But Rick Emerson is the man, and we are racing for Rick every Saturday here on the Global Sim Racing channel.
Absolutely. As you see on your leaderboard, we're starting to get times up. This long lap around here means just now is when we're getting drivers getting times in. 3 minutes left on the clock. In qualifying, they get 2 laps, and no more than that. That's about all they'll be able to fit in, as most drivers are now on their second lap. Dudunian currently topping the timing sheets. Mick Claridge, interestingly, does not have a lap in yet. I wonder if he got a 1X on his first run round. It's going to make it hard for him to try and topple Michelle. That means he's going to have 1 go, Sean.
Better be a good one. It better be perfect. So now Mick will be one of the drivers taking the weight penalty.
Well, he's stopped doing that. He's decided. So Mick is no longer taking on extra weight.
Oh, okay. Actually, though, I know he had said that, but he told me just a little while ago when I was practicing with him earlier that he actually was going to take not as much of one as Ove was going to take, which Ove, I believe, was going to. Ove was taking the most, and then he said him and Jack Ulstad were going to be taking. We're going to be taking a little bit less, but he indeed will be going with a bit of a weight penalty.
So Sean Ambrose doing investigative journalism,
yes.
Getting down into the drivers and getting the inside scoop there as we watch Mick come around to complete his first timed lap. Let's see what he does as he comes up the hill. The time to beat is a 2:04.526. Coming across the line, what's it going to be for the Brits? Rated second, and he's going to go to the top, but by only 0.006 of a second.
Yeah, that's cutting it pretty close.
And Michelle tops him by 0.2. Wow. Back and forth, our competitors go blow for blow. And how about Jack Ulstead, currently sitting in third? That's the best he's going to get after having his 2 laps in at a 2:04.7, a whole 0.4 back from Dudonian.
Now, Ove's still out there. Ove's still out there.
He's gotten 2 laps in, though.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. Yes, I'm just seeing that. My timing and scoring catching up. Darn it. Okay.
So that is his time solidified. Other drivers still putting times in. AJ Bear, wow, not a good one for him. Usually up at the top of the sheets, but only able to do 10th with a 2:06.9. Here comes Bradley Walters. Has not put a lap in yet. As he crosses the line, it's going to be a 2:06 flat. Puts him just within the top 10 in 9th. The only driver who has not put a time in is going to be Don Good, and he's not going to have enough time as the clock ticks down. So let's go through our grid. It's going to be Michel Dudagnon starting on the pole, just snatching it over Mick Claridge, who managed to get one good time in second. Jack Ulstead starting in third. Then in fourth, Billy Bob Wright. Great job by him to put himself on the second row. He's been on a phenomenal bit of form this season, with Brett Rial starting in row 3 in 5th. Michael Langford is going to be in 6th, which we found out, a correction. Langford is a Kiwi, so not an Australian. My apologies for calling him so earlier on in the season. Benjamin Zoko, who is Australian, will be starting in 7th. Also a little bit farther down for him than we're used to seeing. Ove Trangarade still putting that weight penalty on. He's going to be starting in 8th with Bradley Walters. The Indiana driver going to be starting 9th, with rounding out the top 10, Hideki Koivisto, the Finn.
AJ Bear with a surprisingly bad qualifying effort, 11th for him. Jonathan Nichols, 12th. Andrew Ng, another guy who's a bit far down there, 13th today. Gary Anderson going to start 14th, and the 15th and final spot. Don, tell me something good, baby.
Hailing from the West Club as we wait for the lights to come up here at Elkhart Lake. Going to be 14 laps out here today that these drivers will be competing with. Doesn't sound like a lot, but as we said, 4 miles around this place at over 2 minutes a lap. It'll take a while for them to rifle those off, even though these cars getting speeds close to 200 miles an hour down these straights. Just waiting for the last of the field to grid up. And then it's going to be Mick Claridge who leads the way. What can he do up against Michel? It's been a while since we've seen these two at the front of the grid.
Mick says that elbow, not really a factor, Joe. He's feeling great.
So, as they rev themselves up, Michel Dudagnon gets the green as we go racing, but look at him struggle as Mick Claridge in the second part of the start gets a much better run. Billy Bob Wright as well moves up into third over Jack Ulstead as they siphon their way down into the first corner. Everybody getting through clean, and now they head towards turn 3. Claridge leading them through. Bit hot coming through the middle of the corner for Jack Ulstead. He's going to lose time off the corner, meaning our top 3 start to separate away as Billy Bob Wright closes in on Michel Dudagnon. The Frenchman having to go a little bit defensive on Billy Bob Wright as they come down to the slow turn 5. Almost everybody single file. Someone in trouble, Ove Trangarade, having to take for the runoff.
Yeah, got in a little bit hot, Joe, and he does take the runoff. Gets back up clean, though. No trouble.
So Mick Claridge managed to get a better start, moves himself up into the lead over Michel Dudagnon as they come into the hurry towns. This could be critical. As we said, passing opportunities exist, Sean, but these two will be fighting tooth and nail for this first position all race long.
Yeah, and the race has already settled in, Joe. Nobody really fighting for position right now. Everybody just trying to get the heat in the tires and get around this first lap. Out of the carousel.
Yes, one of those danger zones coming through the kink. Can everybody manage it this first time through as all the cars are close together? Looks like everybody being a little bit wary, trying to give a little bit of space as everyone is fully through as they hit Canada Corner. One of those great passing zones, but a tricky braking spot as it looks like Benjamin Zoko is able to overtake Brett Rial. He comes in way too hot into one of those final corners. Everybody go up to 5th.
Just gonna say, everybody got through Canada pretty clean there on the first lap. I'm impressed.
For the lead, just all over the gearbox of Mick Claridge as Michel Dudagnon got a great run up the hill. He's going to have to go the long way around as Mick goes defensive down into turn 1. Much stronger onto the brakes into this medium speed corner. Maybe an over-under, though, for Michel. And once again, you're seeing Mick having to go defensive as they come down into 3. This is going to help Billy Bob Wright and Jack Ulstead start to close up. And a bad exit off the corner hurts Michel.
AJ Bear slid off course coming through turn 1. He's okay. He was able to get back on track without any damage, but lost a position there to Michael Langford, was able to get by.
The Frenchman going defensive on Billy Bob Wright, who has to go on Michelle. Can't do anything with it. Once again, stays to the inside as now they come over the crest into 6. And once more, Billy Bob can't do anything with it. The California trying to take advantage, but opportunity just isn't fully there, and that sets him backwards as now Jack Olstead has a peek at Billy Bob. Oh, nearly gets into the back of him through the hurry downs. This is allowing Michelle and Mick to start to stretch away just a little bit. No longer under threat from Mr. Wright.
Joe, back here, Ove Trangarade just picks up another spot after having a miserable start of the race. He gets himself back up to 9th. Got around Hideki Koibitsu to do it. Now he's chasing AJ Bear.
Honda with a little bit of damage on the nose, it looks like, but still has the speed, as you said, making up ground.
Oh, Koibitsu making a move on down to the inside.
And that is on the car of Trangarade, but can't get it done through Canada Corner as Ove able to fend him off. But that brings Jonathan Nichols and Andrew Ang into the mix as they come up the hill. Ang tries to get himself a good run. He's going to be in the slipstream of Nichols. Is this going to give him a chance down into turn 1? Looks like he's not quite close enough as they hit the braking for this first corner. It looks like, did AJ Bear lose a position, I believe, possibly? Or gain a position maybe over
No, that put him up to 7.
AJ making up for his bad qualifying as he climbs his way through the top 10.
Yeah, climbing indeed. He's our biggest mover, up 4 spots already.
Remember, the points go down to 6th, just like they did in 67, although AJ going way wide, coming off of turn 5. Unfortunately, the Kiwi of Langford not able to take advantage of that mistake. Now they come through turn 7, a fast kink. Easy to lose the car through here, and AJ starts to stretch away once more. Our leaders have closed. Oh, our leaders are almost side by side, actually. Dudagnon going, wow, contact in the carousel. Not often you see door-to-door racing in that part of the course. Mick able to fend him off, and Billy Bob Wright has closed up from that back and forth once again as they work their way through the kink, now through the kettle bottoms.
Yeah, and here comes Jack Olstad, too. He's certainly taking advantage of that as well. He's breaking a little bit deep right here.
Whoa!
Oh!
Drifting through Canada Corner, trying to find the grip out of there. Mick Claridge saves the car, but Michel Dudagnon looks to the inside at 13A, goes side by side. He gets the grip off the corner. Can he go the long way around on the final turn? It's going to be a drag race up the hill. Dudagnon with the speed. This drops Claridge back into the grips of Billy Bob Wright. Looks to the inside. Positions changing all over as Mick drops down the order. Very close between them. Almost door to door. Billy Bob Wright has the run. Could he get all the way up to first as they come to the first corner? Michel Dudagnon takes the inside line. He denies the Californian the spot. But behind them, Mick Claridge having to fend off Jack Olstead. Slips to the inside. Can't outbreak him into the corner. He comes back in the final part of it. Gets to the apex. He takes third.
Wow, Olstad just slips right in there and takes it away from Mick Claridge. Claridge now back to 4th. Got a lot of work to do. Now Claridge under attack from Zoko. Oh, and Claridge gets into the back of the Olstad.
Mick Claridge getting his nose in, wrinkling it just a little bit. Michel Dudagnon down to the inside of Billy Bob Wright into turn 5. As they come over 6, finally, he's able to reclaim that spot.
Wow, this is nuts, Joe. We're just a few laps into this race, and this is quite a battle for the top 5 right now. And let's face it, Brett Reale, he's there. He's joined this party. 6 Lotus 49s just screaming around Road America right now. And your leader, Michel Dudignan, been there since the race started, although everybody behind him has made their attempt to get there and haven't pulled it off yet, Joe.
As they work their way through the kink, Dudignan now starting to get himself a gap over right. Ulstead in third. Claridge, he's dropped all the way back to fourth. This is not what he wants to see, knowing that the Frenchman could start to stretch away. Gains a little bit of ground on Ulstead through Canada corner. Jack struggling through 13A. Wow, brave move to the inside. Almost losing control of the car as Mick Claridge tries to get sneaky into the final corner, and it bites him as you really want the run, Sean, up the hill here.
Man, you saw on board, he was sawing logs with that wheel there. That car just all over the place. Now, Claridge under attack from Ulstead. No, I'm sorry, not Ulstead. This is my bad.
Other way around.
Lost
yes.
him. Yeah.
Claridge has to go the long way around into turn one. Both of them able to get off the corner solidly. Jack really going defensive. He wants this spot. Or excuse me, no, Mick going defensive on Zoko, rather.
I'm sorry, Joe. I screwed y'all up there, buddy.
Yeah, no, I got lost as well, but Zoko gets the run off the corner of the slipstream. That allows him to look to the inside. Mick doesn't even defend. Maybe he feels more confident onto the brakes, and wow, does he ever. Down into turn 5, maybe a little too confident as he slips wide. The Australian is able to get his nose into the inside of 6, but can't take the apex away from the Englishman. Wow, what a battle up at the front.
Good hard racing here. This has been exciting, Joe. Probably one of the more exciting ones we've had to get the race started. Not a lot of carnage, just good hard racing.
I said at the top of the show, the draft, the ample passing zones really give drivers opportunity around this place to try and attack, to stay close to your competitors. Speaking of which, Jack Ulstead closing in on the Californian of Billy Bob Wrights as they come up to Canada corner. Doesn't look like he's going to be close enough to attack, as he still takes a little bit of a peek to the inside, maybe gives a threat to tell him I'm still here, but unfortunately that compromises his line off that 90-degree bend, and he loses ground off the corner.
Claridge still trying to mount an offensive here after falling back just a bit. Not happening yet, Joe.
He's lost a lot of time on third place, Ulstead. Those, whoa, wow, late dive from Jack Ulstead. There you can see the smoke on your screen. That was him locking it up, trying to stay out of Billy Bob Wright. And excuse me, I said Billy Bob was from California a little bit early. He's from Florida. As closing in through 3, Jack is on the charge. He's the one from California. Doesn't get the run off the corner as he loses ground coming down the Moraine sweep. They are not far behind Michel Dudignan. This is a surprise to me, Sean. Usually Michel, when he gets clear air, he streaks away.
Yeah, he does, and I am a bit surprised and caught out by that also. Dudignan was awful fast in practice leading up to this, and, you know, I don't know. It could be the track right now. It is a little bit warmer on track than it was in practice. It's about 90 degrees, so a little bit slicker. It's partly cloudy. It's not bad, but it's not great either. Meg Claridge really struggling with the car back here. Zoko all over him right now, putting on a lot of pressure here in the carousel. And really, I think it's a matter of just when Zoko gets to him. But Zoko putting on a pretty good drive right now. Up 2 spots, he sits in 5th.
You know, I couldn't quite see if they actually did make wheel-to-wheel contact, Claridge and Dudignan coming through the carousel those few laps ago. If they did, I wonder if maybe that damaged the suspension of Claridge a little bit.
I think Mick is fighting something right now, and I don't think it's his elbow, and I don't think it's a little bit more fuel in the car. I think you're right, Joe. I think he's got maybe a little bit of suspension damage. He's probably got his wheel out of sync there with the, you know, with the direction the tires are pointing in. So that is definitely difficult, especially at a high-speed track like this at Road America, and you've got to get slowed down in some pretty tricky spots.
It looks pretty straight as we ride on board with Mick. It's maybe slightly angled to the left, but I feel like I'm splitting hairs on that. He has started to get away from Zoko, who's actually got to worry about Brett Rial behind him now instead. But the closer battle is for second position, as Ulstead has now gunned down Billy Bob Wright as they hit the Moraine sweep. He's going to have the draft allow him to pull up. And he's not able to make an attack into turn 5, unfortunately, as we ride on the nose of Jack. Most everybody behind has started to separate. Closest battle in the back that we have is between Trangarade and Langford.
Yeah, Trangarade had been moving up through the field, made a slight mistake, and back to where he started, having to get back to work. Has the pace of the leaders, but just not making much time up right now, Joe.
There you can see Trangarade's Lotus painted like a Honda. Some of the drivers like to run these older schemes for the Retro Series. Second up for grabs once again, almost side by side. Oh, and they make contact! Ulstead flies into Canada corner, manages to stay out of the wall, but how damaged is his car? How damaged is Billy Bob Wright's car?
Boy, oh boy, let's look at it on the replay, Joe.
This is the last thing you want in these open wheel machines, and you saw the results getting up in the air, Sean.
Yikes. Well, Ulstead gets away. He gets away with that. I don't see much more damage than he already had, but again, like we were talking about, you don't know what kind of suspension damage he might be dealing with there and how that's going to affect how the car corners. It's going to be very, very important. Ulstead making his way down to turn 1 now. Is he able to hold it?
That slotted him into 6. He's still in the points. And we watched from onboard Billy Bob Wright. Boy, you talk about a scare. Seeing a car fly up over your left side like that certainly would unsettle you, but Wright is still in second, although now Mick Claridge has closed in on him. It's not often in these cars, as Wright locks him up down into 5. Is this going to give an opportunity for Claridge? He peeks to the inside, but Billy Bob takes it down to the apex and shuts the door. I was about to say, Sean, it's not often that you see these cars make contact and still go on, but twice in one race between 4 different competitors.
Yeah. Well, I think it goes back to what we were saying here just a few laps ago. It's good hard racing out here today. Everybody showed up with a little grit, ready to tackle this beast that is Road America. Mick Claridge getting the run here. Joe out of the carousel. And get to the kink here. Has
nowhere to go in the kink. Not typically a place to pass, even in these cars. He's still right up behind Billy Bob. Is he going to go defensive? Yes, he does. No attack from Mick Claridge as he holds to the outside. Unfortunately, has his momentum interrupted at the apex. And all this has done is allowed the Australian of Zoko to get into this fight now. But yeah, Sean, Michel Dudignon, he spins off into the final corner. A self-made error for the Frenchman that gives up 3 positions, 4 positions, 5 positions.
Wow. He's just going to get out too far to the left here. You're going to see on the replay, he's going to get over the curb. Not really a curb right there. It's just that black bit of tarmac that sticks out. Back to the lead.
That makes this fight between Wright, Zoko, and Claridge a fight for P1 now. Zoko has overtaken Mick. Oh, this is going to be a juicy one now. This has been, I think, more than hard racing here, Sean. This is fierce racing between these guys. as Zoko has a run on Billy Bob Wright. He goes to the middle of the track to try and fend him off. Still Zoko gets his nose in, is able to get it down to the apex as they go side by side into 5. Claridge tries to get into the fight too, but can't quite get it in there. Zoko claims the first position. Wright can't defend.
The chase is on.
Oh, and Claridge gets into the back of him. Definitely contact as he runs into the gearbox of the Californian. The Floridian. I need to stop saying that.
Did he switch clubs on us?
Well, that separates them just a little bit as Mick backs off.
Yeah, I think Mick's got to catch his breath here real quick and think a little bit more about how he's going to make these passes. Joe, when they come across the line, there's only going to be 5 laps left. We haven't really even talked about that. This race is it's running out of time, buddy.
Yeah, we are past halfway. Oh, and Olstad in the background.
Oh, the kink killed him.
A big one.
Killed at the kink. Oh, no. Boy, and he just missed his turn in there, Joe. We're going to see on the replay, I think. He just misses it a little bit, runs out wide and into the grass. And once you get into that grass there, that's it. You're in the wall. Comes all the way back across and hits it again.
He's very lucky someone didn't get into him there as he came across the track. And yeah, in my time making that lap guide, I experienced what I experienced, Sean, which is if you come in too hot, it's so tempting to get harder on the brakes, and that makes that rear come loose, and you could see by the time he was mid-corner, there was just no saving it. Well, you can see on screen our battle for the lead is not let up as they are still all within about 3 car lengths each. Claridge able to close on Wright to come down the Moraine sweep. Didn't get a good run off the corner, though, as Billy Bob really stretching it out and, in fact, gaining on Zoko. The accordion together, down into 5. Nobody with an attempt as they come under the Corvette bridge. Claridge closing in on the Floridian.
Boy, Claridge really getting on the brakes so much later than either of them. He makes that up. Sacrifices a little bit on exit, but he's right there now on Billy Bob.
Unable to do anything here through the carousel. Look at him square off the exit, though. And this could help him, but just can't do anything with the speed. He's right on the gearbox of the Floridian, coming through the kink now. Can he get a run? It looks like he does. Wow, he's loose, though. Trying desperately to hold on to it. Can he get a nose in? Down into Canada corner. Once again, Billy Bob trying to fend him off as he takes to the middle of the road. Is it going to hurt his exit? Once again, Mick trying to do something with it. Once again, he's denied. And all this back and forth is losing the ground on Zoko.
Yeah, Zoko's really really taking advantage of this right now as they head up the hill for the start-finish line. There'll be 4 laps to go. Zoko in control. Claridge doesn't see. He seems to have lost the arrow on the front of that car, Joe. He's really not finding much draft there.
Is it that, or is it the extra weight maybe? That's it
could be a little bit of both actually. But the car is certainly starting to burn off fuel. I'd expect him to be a little bit faster, but I certainly think that front end damage or that suspected suspension damage we think he might be affecting that just a bit. But man, he is, like you said, he's right up on the gearbox of Billy Bob Wright, but just can't seem to find enough power to get around him right now.
Every time he gets close, the straightaway, really your best chance to try and sneak by. I can say that Wright is on the edge because that tire was smoking all the way down to the apex, the entire braking zone, but he didn't quite lock him up. Just that cadence braking right on the limit. Oh, and 6.
Oh boy, yeah. Obe Trengrade
no.
and AJ Bear get together. Oh man, that was a battle for position. And AJ just got out in the dirt, got loose, and Trengrade gets into the back of him.
Yeah, an innocent victim on that one.
Both really, really slow to get re-going.
AJ seems to be the most damage of them, since he took a smack into the wall. Ove able to recover into 9th. Still not been the best of days. He started in 8th, has still lost a position as we come back live. That battle for second is not abated. Claridge's frustration, can't seem to do anything with it. Once again, you can see some smoke from the tires of Wright.
Well, both are definitely overdriving it just a bit, Joe. A lot of pressure here with now 3 laps to go. It's time to boogie, baby. And right now, Billy Bob's showing the way to Mick Claridge. And again, Claridge is not able to execute a clean move. And I'm feeling like Mick probably doesn't want to wreck him out. So this will be a hard fight right to the finish.
I tell you what, after Watkins Glen, where everyone got strung out for a long race, this is a bit of redemption for this series, and Mick Claridge gets a little bit of loose, trying to push the car too hard, coming out of turn 3. But Sean, this is a stunner after what we witnessed last week.
Yeah, definitely a bit of a different race.
Behind them, sorry.
Yeah, I saw it. Dugnan with trouble there, indeed, back in turn 5.
But finally, Mick Claridge gets his nose in on Billy Bob Wright. That's into turn 6. He's going to have to go the long way around of the kink as they go side by side, banging wheels. And Claridge finally gets it done down into the Hurry Downs. Question is, can he keep it knowing that car cannot accelerate off the corner? He's going to have to use some really clever tricks to keep that Floridian behind him.
Yeah, Billy Bob already looking for an opportunity. He was dancing around back there just a little bit. He's going to need to find it quick.
I think this is where it's going to be critical for Mick, is to find the time in the twistier bits where he seems to be a little bit stronger, because that long straight of the front stretch is going to hurt once he hits it. He's only been able to stretch it to about 4/10 right now, half a second there for a little bit over Billy Bob Wright. And it looks like he might just have gotten himself enough of a gap. I want to hold on this before we jumped over to 7th, just to see what Billy Bob can do as he closes. We know that he's going to be able to get the speed, and you can tell Mick knows early as he goes defensive. Defend him off. So let's jump over to the battle for 7th, because Hideki Koivisto, as once again an attack down into 3 from Wright.
These two just aren't finished so far.
Apologies to Koivisto and Eng. We want to get your battle, but you can see just how much this is hurting Mick Claridge. He has got to be shouting at his monitor as he watches Billy Bob Wright go by with ease. Could he get it off the corner here? Just behind them once again, Dudonyan going way deep into the corner, trying to catch up to these two. And Schrangereid's bad day goes worse. What happened here? Looks like coming out of turn 1, he's gonna get a little bit of dirt, Sean, and that inside wall claims another victim.
Yeah, and boy, coming off of one there, if you get out off to the left and get a little bit of that dirt, even trying to get the power down out of there, it's going to swing around on you. Poor Obe. Tough day for him. Yeah, we tried to pick up the battle between Koivisto and Andrew Ing, and Koivisto right now getting the better of that as he starts to, the fin starts to pull away from Andrew, and both of them did not have great qualifying efforts. Koivisto, though, up 3 spots to 7th, Eng up 5 to 8th.
So with those guys having separated and Claridge still on, wow, sending it in deep into the final corner. Mick Claridge finds the spot, but I think it's going to be given up right again. Oh,
He moves over to try and interrupt the momentum of Billy Bob Wright. Wright finally is able to sneak into the inside as the white flag comes out for Zoko, who now has 3.5 seconds. Right back into second. And Dudagnon is gaining time, hand over fist, side by side once again. Billy Bob Wright just a nose into the inside. Tries to move Claridge open in the grass, and he loses it. Claridge sliding off into the kitty litter. This allows Michel Dudagnon to close in on the back. Is Michel going to be able to get 2 spots in the final lap as he closes on Billy Bob Wright?
What a race. What a mistake by Mick. Just got a little bit of the grass off to the left there, but these two, Dudagnon, Billy Bob, Dudagnon locking them up there.
I wonder if Mick's going to be a little bit unhappy. I think he got maybe a little squeezed up to the outside there. It's tough to tell because the track has the slightest of kinks into turn 3, but in the meantime, as we ride on board with 3rd place, the battle for 2nd, the podium is not decided, even though Zoko has a 4-second lead over these two. Wright is squirming under power. He desperately wants to stay in 2nd place. Remember, he is in this championships fight still. Coming off the carousel now, Sean. Oh, and something happened to Mick.
Yeah, I didn't see it, Joe. Boy, Billy Bob really under intense pressure here. Can he hang on?
I think possibly Mick may have ran into the incident limit. Oh, and contact between Billy Bob Wright and Dudagnon, who comes in a little too hot, gets into the gearbox of the Floridian. Now as they come through 13A, our leader is coming to the line now. Benjamin Zoko, we haven't watched him as much in the latter half of this race, but what a run for him. Took advantage when he needed it. He's going to take the win here at Elkhart Lake. Billy Bob Wright managed to defend off Michel Dudagnon for 2nd. The Frenchman taking 3rd. Brett Rial, how about a run to 4th? He wasn't really in this much, but quietly gained positions. The Kiwi of Langford moves himself into 5th. And Hideki Koivisto is going to claim the final points-paying position. What a run for the Finn.
Yeah, and so Andrew Ng going to come up just a little bit short there in 7th. Still up 13 spots, but could not climb the mountain for points.
And Mick just disappeared on my screen. We're going to see here, Sean. I'm not entirely sure, but this to me, especially knowing all the dramas that he got into, kind of screen. See, he just goes a little bit too far to the inside, and then suddenly he's gone.
Yeah, I'm watching the chat right now. He's chatting. He did not disconnect. I can only.
He says DQ'd.
He did, yes.
Oh.
So there you go. Mick had that car on the ragged edge for the whole race, and whew. Hate to see that, but again, good hard racing out there today, Joe, as we talked about several times.
We watched the last of the cars come across the line, but with that, we're going to come back after a short break. We're going to have all the upcoming races on your screen, but as well, we're going to have the official results here for today's race, as well as driver interviews. Welcome back to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, where we just watched the race here at Road America for the Racing for Rick World Cup Challenge. And Benjamin Zocco came away with the win after a great battle on track, but really the one that stole the show had to have been between Billy Bob Wright and Mick Claridge. Billy Bob, of course, came home second. That wasn't the complete story. He had to fend off Michel Dudagnon on the final lap, who managed third. Brett Rial, who got a quiet fourth behind him. Michael Langford finishes in fifth, and then Hideki Koivisto rounds out our point-scoring positions in the championship. Andrew Ang finishes in seventh with Bradley Walters, a newcomer to the series. Qualified ninth, gained one position to a quiet eighth, and then Jonathan Nichols gaining 3 spots, going from 12th to 9th in the end. Right out at the top 10, Sean, it's Don Good.
Don Good, yes, in 11th. It's going to be Mick Claridge, who does disqualify from the event there. Too many incidents. Unfortunate for him. 11th. Ove Trengarade, 12th. He had a tough day. So did AJ Bear, finishing 13th. Jack Olstead, yeah, he was up there racing for a podium spot and finds trouble. He also with a tough day, 14th. And Gary Anderson will be the last car today. He finished 15th, Joe.
With that, we're going to do a couple interviews. Of course, first, let's talk to our winner, Benjamin Zocco, who I'm sure was probably a little bit surprised by that one, having started in 7th. Ben, first of all, that had to have been exciting from your point of view. Second of all, how in the world did you get from 7th to 1st and all of that?
I have no idea. I think I had a bit of help from Jack and Billy Bob coming together, and Michelle having a spin. I think that's really who I have to thank for this win.
Tell us about your qualifying. We've been seeing you a little bit higher up recently. Did you add any weight penalty? Is that why you were in 7th, or was it just couldn't get the lap in?
Oh, hell no, no weight penalty for me. No, couldn't get the lap in. I got a 1X on the first lap, which was decent, and then the second lap pushed too hard and ended up going deep into a couple of corners and lost even more time. So I think I would have qualified in the top 3 had I got a proper lap together.
Well, it all worked out for you in the end, and of course, this is really going to help you in the championship. Are you thinking about that much at all? Is that on your mind during these races, or are you kind of taking a piece at a time?
Well, if I keep having races like this, for sure, but otherwise I'm hoping just for top 3 this season. But yeah, I in earlier races this week, I was having a lot of trouble with the setup, and I was spinning a lot in races, which was really frustrating me because that's not what I normally do. And I wasn't expecting anything in this race. I just wanted to make sure I didn't spin and just have a clean race and finish. And that's what I did. I did not expect to win. I don't know. I managed to find some good pace towards the end of the race there. Once I got past Billy Bob, I managed to start doing, I think, fastest laps for me. And I pulled away. I was expecting to get pressure for the rest of the race. But I think the battling behind me slowed them down a bit more. But yeah, I'm really thrilled with that one. I drove really well.
I would say so. Benjamin Zocco proving the old adage to finish first you must finish, as he takes home the win today. Thanks for talking to us, Ben, and congratulations. So
thanks, guys.
As we look through our as we look through our podium, can't speak today, we see Billy Bob Wright finishing second after his epic battle. First with a number of drivers, then eventually settling into a fight with Mick Claridge, and finally having to fend off Dudagnon for the final lap. Sean has caught up with him.
I think Billy Bob was the busiest man on track this morning. Billy Bob, my first question for you is actually, have you ever been to California?
I have.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe that settles a little bit of the confusion for Joe then. All right. So Billy Bob, I want you to talk about the fight with Claridge, because that was quite a battle. That resulted in him being DQ'd because he was just pushing so hard.
Okay, so that explains, because I didn't know until I was just literally looking at the results that Mick was DQ'd, and so yeah, no surprise. Because man, I feel bad in that situation because I knew I didn't have the pace, and I was really surprised when I qualified as well as I did. I guess everybody else just got distracted, but and then it was just a matter of trying to hit my marks and defending those last couple of laps. But man, hats off to Ben Zocco. That's an impressive run, man. I was shocked when I saw him come up behind us, and he went by us, man, like we were standing still. So congrats to him, and commiserations to Michelle. I mean, he was smoking us and then made an error down there. But man, what a race. And again, I call that a soaker. I was literally soaked. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know, but I got an Oculus Rift that I'm still trying to sort out. And man, these things are hot. I've got 2 fans blowing on it, but I'm still just blowing.
Yeah, and I heard you make that comment at the end. I got a good chuckle out of that, man. It was a real soaker.
Yeah.
Lots of pressure there, though, from Dude and Jan there at the end. What's it like when you've got that guy in your mirror?
Well, let me tell you something, guys. When Mick ran into the back of me, I guess what happened is he disappeared, and one of the problems with these riffs is you can't see the graphics very well, and so all I saw was the time back to the next guy, and I assumed it was Mick, and I knew with that gap I probably didn't need to worry about him. I had no idea Michelle was coming, and then there at the end, man, all of a sudden it was like, yeah, fire bells ringing, and I was, Katie bar the door, man, I'm heading.
Well, Billy Bob, hey, man, thanks a lot for coming in for a great interview, and we will see you next week, man. Great run today. Congratulations on the podium.
Hey, thanks, guys, and again, congrats to Ben. Awesome run. We'll see you guys next week.
All right, Joe, that was Billy Bob, right? What a run for him today, and I think we're going to talk to, who are we talking to next? I guess I missed that.
Looks like 4th place finisher Brett Rial has come to talk to us just off the podium, but still, he probably got a good eye view of all the battling up in front of him. Brett, unfortunately, we didn't have much time to get the cameras on you because everybody in front of you was putting on such a show.
Well, when you blow it on the first lap, it's kind of tough to, at least for me, to bring it back. And yeah, I blew it into that, the Canada corner, and that Zocco went by me, and then I was keeping up for a while, right on the tail end, and I was doing my, my classic. I'm just going to stick back, let people see what happens, stick back about a second or so and just hold the pace. And then coming back into Canada corner again, I think there was a wreck, and I slowed way down, and Ben just kept going. Next thing you know, I'm like, oh, crap, I'm 2.5, 3 seconds behind, and I could just never pull it back. But it's still fun. Great place.
Yeah, talk to us about racing here. It seems like it tends to put on a good show here in the 49. What is it about this place that you think really creates such intense racing in these machines?
Well, out of all the tracks, I mean, this is the first time I've raced this car on this track. So, I've actually had to put in some practice. It's helped a lot. But I think what it is that I think it's scary as hell. This is the scariest track I've actually raced this car on. Like, I think I made a comment in practice earlier that I was actually worried for the first time in a while of actually finishing this race because there's just so many places to mess up. What's the name of that corner? You're breaking that downhill into that sharp left. That's just crazy. Trying to get that thing woed up without locking the brakes and then making that corner without losing a half a second. I don't know. It's just a crazy place to race this car.
Certainly is difficult in some areas. Well, again, congratulations on the 4th place. That'll help get you a few more points in the championship. We look forward to seeing you next week.
All right, good talking to you guys. See ya.
It's Brett Rial coming home in P4. We have a driver who could have finished a little bit higher, but unfortunately DQ'd out of the race. Mick Claridge is talking to Sean about his battle and subsequent black flag from the race today.
Mick, you were driving the wheels off of that car until they wouldn't let you drive the wheels off of it anymore. Boy, that was some really hard racing today. You were all over it. Tough result, but you had to have been having a little bit of fun there.
Hi, Sean. Yeah, I was having a right old laugh there on the track. It was really good. Yeah, and I was just happy to be able to drive again with my arm. It's the first week I've been able to sort of, hammer it again. So now I'm fine with that. It doesn't bother me one bit.
So one moment we hear you're not going to take the weight penalty, and then we hear you're going to take the weight penalty just a little bit, not as much. Was that really affecting you at any point, where maybe was it a little bit of damage on the car that maybe had your top speed off just a bit, that didn't allow you to make that pass when you needed to?
Oh, that was just purely fuel weight. Me and Michelle ran 20 gallons in the end. We ran, I think it was 50. Well, we ran 15 in qualifying, and we was up the front again. So I said to him, let's put another 5 in, to mix it up a bit. So we did that, and it just shows on the straights. Honestly, I know how Alonso feels now, because you have to go so fast through the corners just to be able to get a decent straight line speed on any of the straights, and as you know, there's 2 long straights. But no, I had a little bit of I wouldn't say steering damage. It was because I got me and Michelle had a touch in the huge right hander there, and that sort of knocked the back wheel out a bit. So it was pulling on braking. It was such a weird thing. I've never had it before, so it wasn't too bad once I learned how to sort of get over it. But that weight penalty.
Yeah, you had to learn to compensate for that. Well, listen, it was still a great race. It was very, very entertaining. I just hate that you get that DQ there at the end. But you'll be back to fight another day next week. Glad to hear the elbow's doing better. And that means maybe we'll get a win next week, right?
We'll see. I can't remember what track it is, but we're going to stick in some fuel again, So, I don't mind running, around with these guys, rather than sort of being ahead with Michelle or whoever's fast, And I just have to say, when we do put this fuel in, I mean, obviously the corner speeds, it doesn't seem to matter that much with a heavy fuel load, that your corner speeds are still the same, they seem to be still the same. But it just shows you how good all the other guys that aren't normally right up the front, how good they are at fighting, because they're really good. They really know what to do. Billy Bob, Jack, Ben, Casper, all the guys know what they're doing in the car, It's just they just haven't got that, that final bit of pace, to get them right up the front, But it's great to be racing with them like this,
Mick, if I said we were at the ring next week, does that bring back any memories for you, good or bad?
I never finish a race at the ring, ever. so I'll stick in some fuel and I'll run around mid pack and just try and finish. But no, you know me, I'm gonna hammer it as hard as I can and I'll wreck.
All right, well, we're gonna let you go. It's time for you to pull out that wood block and get those sticks out and start getting your chops back up, buddy. Now that the elbow's feeling a lot better. All right, my best to you. We'll see you next week, man.
Cheers, guys.
All right, Joe, and cheers to Mick Claridge, who I would say brought us just a little bit of excitement today here on this broadcast.
Absolutely, and it sounds like, unfortunately, it's not the one ring to rule them all for Mick Claridge next week. We'll see how he manages to fare at that infamous Nordschleife. With that, we're going to close up today. Once again, this was the Racing for Rick World Cup Challenge, and if you can, we've got a link in the description for where you can donate to the ALS Association. Please, if you have a little bit of money to spare, think about contributing a little bit to that. Of course, thanks to Jack Ulstead and Ben Zoko for doing a lot of work behind the scenes to help bring these broadcasts to air. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to Eric Ekholm and Casey Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Sean Amjad and Dougie. Didn't change it since last week. Did it again. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel or Facebook at /Global Sim Racing Channel. As we mentioned, the next race, if you miss anyone, don't miss this one, the Nordschleife. That'll be Saturday, August 5th at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. This is an incredible car to watch around an incredible track. Please watch that one. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.